There are a few steps after installation you need to perform. First and foremost, you need to activate your Xamarin installation by entering your account details. Although you can install Xamarin from Visual Studio 2015's installer, Xamarin is neither free nor included with your Visual Studio license. The installer is simply bundled for the sake of convenience. To use Xamarin for any but the most trivial of applications, you'll need to purchase a license. Refer to Xamarin.com for licensing costs and details. Your license is tied to your Xamarin ID, which is similar to an ID you might have with Microsoft. You need to supply Xamarin with your credentials, and this unlocks the features commensurate with your subscription level. At the time this is being recorded, there are essentially 4 subscription levels. There's a free starter level, which is frankly not very useful. If you try it, you'll find that you must use Xamarin Studio as your IDE, since Visual Studio integration is disabled. You won't have access to most of the application templates that are otherwise available, and you're also limited to the size of the project that you can create. The first time I got a hold of Xamarin Studio, I immediately tried making a cross-platform app that would run on either iOS or Android platforms. The IDE dutifully generated the project. At that point, I expected to hit the run button and see a result. The result was not what I expected. I got an error message stating that my app was too big and that I needed to purchase a subscription. So you really can't do much with the starter license. The next level up is the Indie license. At this level, you still don't have access to Visual Studio as your IDE, but you can make and deploy apps to mobile platforms. Note that each platform requires a separate license. For example, if it says $25 per month for Indie, what it really means is $25 a month for iOS and $25 a month for Android. If you want both, you have to buy a license for both platforms. You should also note the difference between buying the license outright versus paying monthly because the two licenses are not identical, at least not at the time of this recording. If you buy the whole license up front, which is required with business and enterprise licenses, you're essentially paying for a perpetual license for the tools. And a year from when you buy your license, your subscription expires along with your support, but you still own the software and you can continue to use it to produce and publish apps. The monthly license, on the other hand, is a true subscription. If you stop paying your monthly fee, you'll lose the license to the tools and you can no longer produce, maintain, or publish apps, though the apps you've already published will continue to work. In order to use Visual Studio as your IDE, you need one of the license levels higher than Indie, the Professional or Enterprise license. License levels above Indie are not available as a monthly subscription. The main difference between the Business and Enterprise licenses is the level of support you receive from Xamarin. We'll be using the Professional license for this course, since that affords us the ability to use Visual Studio as our IDE. I need to supply the development tools with my Xamarin ID, so let's do that now. I'll launch Visual Studio. Next, I'll go to the menu bar at the top of the screen. I'll select Tools, then Xamarin Account. This will pop up a dialog that will allow me to supply my Xamarin account credentials. You must be connected to the internet in order for this to work. After I sign in, the tools check my ID against Xamarin's web service, and if all goes well, I'll get a message displaying my license level. There are a few more settings that I want to show you, though the installer should have already set them correctly. I think it's important that you know where these settings are located. From within Visual Studio, let's go to the top menu, click Tools, then Options. Scroll down to the bottom and find the Xamarin entry. Open it and find the Xamarin settings. And there they are, the paths to the Android SDK and the NDK. You should see green check marks next to the settings. If you don't, you can use the change buttons to locate the installations on your hard drive. While you're here, you might want to change your notification settings. I recommend that if this is your development computer used for developing and maintaining production apps, that you either turn this notification off entirely or change the drop-down to indicate that you only want to see stable updates. I'll click OK, and now we really are ready to create apps.